Next up is Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo. Izzo is entering his 20th season with the Spartans and returns 2 starters and 9 letter winners from last year's team that won the Big Ten tournament title and advanced to the Elite Eight. Coach, good morning. If you'd like to start with an opening statement, we'll then open it up for questions.
Now let's get that both times. Yeah, those 9 lettermen, unfortunately a couple of them went on scholarship, but you know, I kind of like this team. I think it's a team with the same kind of passion they had last year, the same kind of camaraderie, but a little better leadership. Last year it just wasn't the strength of our team, it wasn't necessarily the weakness, but it was, we didn't have quite the leadership that I think we have with Travis Price and Izzo Valentine. So with Price and Valentine, there's no question, big losses were Ackley and Harris and Adrian Payne, but you know, in Ackley's case, he had a tough second half of the year, and Price was playing pretty well, so he got a lot of experience. And because Payne went down for 8 or 9 games, Costello got some experience. But our big 3 will be those 3, with Dawson being a big key this year. Does he take another step up? Does he average 15, 16 points, 8, 9 rebounds that he did the last 6, 7 games of the season once he got back? If he does that, I think this team could progress greatly here in the months to come.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start in the back of the room.
Jeff Patrice from the Journal-Sentinel. You've been to the Final Four consecutive years multiple times. I'm just curious, when you try to go back that second time in a row, what are the positives you can use in your favor, and what are the obstacles, the challenges you might face to try to keep kids on track to get that?
Well, you know, the positives are, you get something to point to. You know, they know how much fun it was. It's an experience of a lifetime. It's hard to explain to anybody what it's like to win that Elite 8 game and know you're going, right, for us to go to Detroit or, you know, something. And then to be able to come back the next year, as we did when we went to Indy that next year, it was a goal because it was a realistic goal. I think the negatives are that was right about the pre-Twitter era, and I think it's harder now because so many people are telling how good they are. But I think Bo can handle that. He's been there, done that. He's done it at different levels. I think he's got some grounded kids, and I think that's a big key too. Back when we went to 3 of them in a row in 2000, we just had driven guys that had nothing but winning championships on their mind. That I'm not sure anybody has that anymore. It's just a little more difficult in this little bit more me world instead of we world. But I think that would be his biggest challenge. Can he handle this? Can his kids handle the things that will be said about him around him?
Let's go on the left on the aisle.
Rick Rose from WDRB in Louisville. I mean, the media poll, all the preseason magazines, everybody's picking Wisconsin. Do you see them clearly separate from the rest of the league? And after that, it seems to be a real muddle for the next 8 to 10 teams. And also, how do you see it?
Well, first of all, I saw us picking them from 2nd to 8th or 9th tonight. I mean, our fans kind of rumbled about that. I told God that's probably where I would pick this. You know, I think that's where I pick a lot of teams. There's no question that Wisconsin's the class, but Wisconsin picked 2nd or 3rd when he's got nobody back. So I think that tells you a lot about Bo and what he's done. But he does have a very, very good team, and a lot of guys back, and stability, and he's got guards, and he's got bigs, and so he's got a little bit of everything. You know, he's got a great wing, great point guard, and a great center. And when you have that, a lot of good things can happen. It did for us last year. But as far as the rest of the league, I think what you're starting to see again is, yeah, we all lost some pretty talented guys, or a lot of us did, but, you know, all of a sudden Minnesota went to the NIT. You know, you look at the job Northwestern that he's done there. You got some perennials that have been down last year, like Indiana and Purdue. And both those guys are great coaches, and I think they're going to have much better teams. And so it's the bottom, Nebraska, you know, they've come out of nowhere. The team's done such a good job there. Now they're going to be contenders. So I think the bottom again has moved up. The top, other than Wisconsin, has maybe moved back a little bit. But I think there's an 8, 9, 10 team race, and with who you play once and where you play them. Muddled up is a good word. I got a couple other words that mean the same thing, many letters, but I think you spoke well about what you're saying.
Go middle left.
My name is ESPN. Coach, obviously this has been a strong league for a number of years. Your program was the last 15 team to win a national championship. How do you think that drought has affected perceptions of the league overall?
Well, you know, I do think it affects it somewhat. It's not kind of like what's happening in football with the SEC. It's not to that extent. But, you know, I just know that to win one, you got to be so good and so lucky, both. And, you know, what I've enjoyed about our league is we've sent a lot of people to that Final Four, and we've been in the mix. When you're in the mix, you know, sometimes it's a call, sometimes it's an injury, sometimes another team just plays better that day. I think I'm proud of the fact that even though we haven't won another one, we have had a lot of teams, you know, either in that Final Four, those Elite 8 games, and that really speaks a lot about the quality of your conference and the number of teams we're getting in, you know. Team that doesn't quite get in that maybe should have last year goes and wins the NIT. You know, that talks about the strength of your conference. Does it hurt it? I don't know if anybody looks at winning national championships to hurt it as much as who's going to the NBA.
Let's go middle left.
Tom Bondavis, Louis Dispatch. You've been in the league since there were, I think, 10 teams who played each other twice every year. And now, with 8-1 plays this year, you mentioned that a lot depends on who you play once, who you play twice. In your mind, has it devalued the regular season?
I don't know if devalued is the correct word. It's complicated. It's confused a little bit, but you know, I still think the value of who we're playing with